Hello and welcome to It's Within Your Reach, the Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing Workout. And we're using the Trauma to Triumph system. Who am I? Who am I ask. Anybody know? What am I? Who am I? That's what we're going to be discussing in this edition of It's Within Your Reach. Okay, so I don't know if we're having technical problems this morning, but we'll get over them, I'm sure. So don't forget to put hello in the comments. Tell me who you are, where you're coming in from, what's on your mind as we're moving into the 10th week of lockdown here in the UK. But I know that there's lots of people listening and watching this from all over the world. So tell me where you're from, what's going on in your life, and we'll move into our show for this morning. So what are we talking about? We are talking about moving from trauma to triumph. Okay, there's no doubt about it. We've all gone through certain amounts of traumas in the last 2-3 months, and it doesn't necessarily look like it's going to get any better at the moment, because even though there might be an unfreezing of this lockdown, an unlockdown, we're going to be moving into new challenges, the new norm, as they call it. So whatever that new norm is, we're going to be talking about that every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here in the Total Mind Fitness Wellbeing Workout. We're talking about learning skills to deal with, first of all, everyday distress, but also from moving from that trauma to triumph, moving our life along and increasing the quality of our life, or at least, at the very least, increasing the chances that we will have a higher quality life. And that means that we increase the repertoire of our response, our behavioral response to things that happen. And there's lots of things that happen in our lives. We have everything that's happened in our lives up until now. So we have, each and every one of us has our own personal histories, our life experiences, if you want to call it, and what we've learned through those life experiences. Okay, now these things as we've consciously learned, but also unconsciously learned. So we've learned things that we didn't really know we were learning at the time. We've learned things by seeing other people doing things and we've taken them on. Or we've learned to do things because it was comfortable for us at the time. It made us feel better at the time. And we kind of sometimes even fell into it. And these became habits. And these habits were really relevant at one point in our lives. But you know what? Maybe they're not that relevant to us today. And when our behaviors that were relevant one time, and maybe helped us at one time in our life, are not relevant today, then they can get in the way. Get in the way of what? Get in the way of us having a higher quality life. Getting in the way of us responding in the best way, in the optimum way to things that come our way, distresses that come our way. Now, what we cannot do is we cannot change the weather. So we cannot, if we have a rainy day, we can't say, let's make it a sunny day. Doesn't work. If it's a sunny day and it's too hot for us and we want a colder day, we can't make a colder day. If it rains and we don't want it to rain, we can't change that rain. If it's dry and we want it to rain, we can't make it rain. I'm looking out at the sky today, and normally people might say, oh, the weather's a wee bit windy, a wee bit cloudy today, not very good weather. Well, what's not very good weather? All weather is good. All weather is neither good nor bad, really. It's just weather. So, as Billy Connolly says, it's not whether there's good or bad weather, it's just about what kind of clothes you're wearing. Are you wearing clothes that are appropriate for the kind of weather it is? So is our behavior, using that as a metaphor, is our behavior suitable for the kind of weather it is, for the kind of activities, for the kind of context, for the kind of circumstances that are coming our way? Are we going to behave according to the circumstances and respond to the circumstances in a way that we did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, last week? Or are we going to respond to our current circumstances according to what's suitable today, right now? This is the question. Are we going to respond to our current circumstances according to what we think might happen in a month? No. If we want to raise the optimum level, if we want to raise the quality of our life, then what we want to do is respond to our circumstances that are happening now, according to what's suitable now. And we do this by using the trauma to triumph system. The trauma to triumph system is about, first of all, the T, which is transforming our behavior and habits. And if you go back to previous videos, we went into all the elements of behavior, and we've gone into all the elements of habits. And today we're on the S of habits. And the S of habits is about ourselves. Who am I? If I was to ask you a question of who are you, what would you say? So let's start with the sentence, I am, and finish that sentence. Finish it now. Think about it. I am what? So I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer that. I am, or I am a. Okay? So lots of people come up with all sorts of different answers. Some people might come up with, I am a doctor, I am a lawyer, I am a plumber, I am a joiner, I am a mother, I am a father, I am a brother, I am a sister. I am a person, I am a citizen of the world. Okay? I am French, I am British, I am Canadian, whatever it is. All right? Some people might even come up with, I am happy, right? I am sad, I am depressed, I am anxious. I am sick, I am whatever it is, right? What did you come up with? If you want, put your answer in the comments. I am, what did you come up with? And we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. Self is about belonging, right? It's about that kind of urge, that kind of need that we have in our life, about belonging, about connecting. And we see how important that is today. We see how important it is and how relevant it is to be part of a group. Humans are built in that way, that we need to be part of a group. We need to belong to a group. We need to belong to, it doesn't have to be massive groups. Small groups are even more optimal. And we see that today, that if you are not conforming to the group, you're not behaving according to the norms of the group, then there's a very, very real threat that you might be ostracized, kicked out, or even punished by the group. And we can see that very clearly today. If there's a group consensus today that you have to have a certain amount of social distancing, and the law says, law is just regulations of a group meaning of the society, of country, and it says that you shouldn't congregate more than one person or two people or whatever it is, and that you should wear a mask in public, and so on and so on and so on. And there's this person who does not conform with one or more of these regulations, then what happens? We see exactly what happens. The group punishes that person. Now, it doesn't mean they come out with whips and stones, but they punish them by ostracizing them, by criticizing them, by publicly humiliating them, by talking about them. And so the person, people, all of us need to know that we are accepted by the groups that we are part of. First of all, if we are not a part of any group, we feel that sense of loneliness. And that's a very real thing. We're not talking just about psychology here. We're talking about physiology, neurology. We're talking about survival. We're talking about the way the body is designed, wired, created, whatever you want to call it. The human body will not survive as long under a state of loneliness than when it's under a state of belonging. It's the way we are. It's the human condition. The human condition is that we need, not we want or we like or we desire, we need biologically to be part of a group. That's the way it is. And so when we feel that we are rejected by a group, we will feel that in our bodies. We will feel that in our minds, in our physiological health, in our mental well-being, in our physical and our biological and our spiritual well-being. If we feel that we are rejected by a group, not part of a group, that we are alone in this world, the human being can develop biological disease, physical disease, as well as mental unrest and torture. And so we have a really inbuilt instinctual need to belong to a group, to have connection on one side. On the other, we have, who are we? What am I? And so I asked you a few minutes ago to consider I am and put something at the end. And lots of people come up with lots of endings to that sentence. So I am a person, I am a human, I am a mother, father, brother, sister, child, friend, I am a neighbor, and so on. And the interesting thing is that we can be all of these, of course, but also we can become attached to these things in a very rigid way. And the more rigidly attached we come to these labels of I am, then this can cause us a little bit of trouble under certain circumstances. So if we identify with these labels, and at one point these labels are taken from us, then we can come into distress. And that distress is very, very real. So, for instance, let's say I identified myself with being a lawyer or a doctor or a policeman or fireman or whatever, okay? And I was really rigidly identified with that. That was my whole life. And you hear it all the time. Oh, his whole life he was a fireman. That's what he identified with the fireman. I'm a fireman through and through and through and through. And then the day comes when I stop being a fireman. So for lots of reasons, maybe I left being a fireman because I was injured. Maybe I left being a fireman because I retired. We don't stay being an ex-fireman or whatever forever, and that now has gone. Maybe I was a dancer. Maybe I was a footballer. All right. And I said, I am a footballer. That's who I am. That's my soul. That's my only being. That's my passion. That's my purpose in life. That's everything to me is I am a footballer, dancer, or whatever. And that is now taken away from us. We can go into serious distress because it's like our whole life has been taken away. If I consider myself, I am happy, then if I become too rigidly associated with I am happy, then when I'm not happy, I'm going to be in distress. And you get people answering like that, saying, oh, I'm always a happy person. I'm an optimistic person. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's a very narrowing definition. If we want, we can add, and if we want to optimize that, we would say, I feel happy, or I am having a feeling that I'm happy. I'm having a feeling that I'm sad. Okay. I have a profession that I am a footballer or a doctor or whatever. If that will create a little bit of distance between my thought of I am as an identifiable thing with being a doctor than I have a profession that I am a doctor. Okay, therefore, it's not just me, it's something that I occupy myself with. It's an experience that I have learning and working as a doctor. It's an experience I have being happy. It's an experience that I have being a father or a brother or a neighbor or a friend. But it doesn't define me as that is me. There is a me underneath all of that that's experiencing these things. And that's a very, very important thing to understand, so that when we can understand who exactly is here behind my eyes, looking out into the world, that person can have experiences of a whole array of emotions. It can have experiences of a whole array of different professions and different types of work. It can have a whole array of different tasks and responsibilities in different domains, sometimes as a father, sometimes as a brother, sometimes as a child, sometimes as a friend, sometimes as a neighbor, sometimes as a coach, sometimes as a psychotherapist, sometimes as a psychologist. Whatever it is, I can be experiencing that, but it does not define me as me. I am much more than my thoughts. I am much more than my emotions. I am much more than just my physical body. I am more than all of these things. As someone once said, I am more than the sum of my parts. The problem becomes when we become identified with one little part, and we become so fused with that. We become so stuck in that when something in our circumstances dictates that we should better respond in a much wider way, in a much more flexible way, we have problems to do that. So we have what's called a conceptualized self, a self that I have basically identified and stuck with. And that will make me less flexible when it comes to different circumstances that I have in my life. And that's really, really important, especially if what we're talking about now is transforming our habits, transforming our behaviors. And that's what we're trying to do in this course. We're looking at our behaviors and our habits. We're asking ourselves the 4 questions. We're asking ourselves if this is relevant to the circumstances that I have today. To remind you of the 4 questions is, what is it that's important in your life? What are you seeking? What is it in your life? The way that you want to live your life, the how you want to live your life, the why you want to live your life. What is it in your life, the direction that you want to live as that father, brother, mother, sister, spouse, citizen of the world, whatever you are? How do you want to be in that? How do you want to behave in that? And then you ask yourself, okay, so I want to behave in this way. Well, what have you tried in the past? Is that working for you? Right? Is that doing what you want it to do? that smoking of the cigarettes or drinking out the bottle. Is that really helping you get what you want? Is that really helping you behave in the way that you want to behave? Is that really bringing your life up in value? If the answer is yes, hunky-dory. But let's be honest with ourselves. What is it costing you? Right? Is it, you having a hunky-dory life, but you've lost all your friends and family and you're not now feeling part of the group? You're not feeling part of the family because nobody talks to you. You're not feeling part of the family because you have no one to turn to. You're not feeling part of the group or the neighborhood because you haven't contributed, because you're always in your own life. So we ask ourselves those 4 questions. We try to do discovery on ourselves. What is it we're seeking? What we tried in the past? Has it worked? And what's the cost? And when we come to a decision and we say, look, you know what? Probably it's better that I try to transform my behavior and my habits to be more in touch with what I'm seeking in life, to be more in touch with the way I'd like to live my life. And I'm not asking you to live your life according to anybody else's instructions. I'm asking you to consider how you want to live your life according to how you want to live your life today. What's your, right? I'm asking you, again, the opportunity and give me permission to say, I want to live my life in this way. Right? And a lot of people will come up and say, well, if I didn't have this, I could live my life this way. If I didn't have anxiety, if I didn't have depression, if I didn't have coronavirus, if I didn't have kids running around my feet all the time, if I didn't have a spouse that's really annoying me, if I didn't have elderly parents, if I didn't have, be unemployed, if I only had this job, or if I had a different job, or if I had more money or less money, or for goodness sake, the list is absolutely endless. But I'm asking you to consider, let's say nobody was watching you. Let's say you didn't have any of these obstacles. How would you like to live your own life? What's important to you in your own life? That's all. And once you come up with, you know what, I want to live my life in a honest way. I want to live my life in a authentic way. I want to live my life in an adventurous way. I want to live my life in a curious way. I want to live my life in a contributing way. I want to live my life in a loving way. I want to live my life in a compassionate way. I want to live my life in a caring way. Whatever it is that you come up with. You, not me or anyone else. What do you come up with in your own life? And when you've realized and decided, you know what, I want to live my life in that valued way, then we go out and say, okay, now what behaviors will allow me to live my life in that way? What change of behaviors do I need to make? What change of habits do I need to make in order to live the life according to the way that I have chosen that I want to live my life? And once we start living our life and behaving in the way that we have set for ourselves that will be a high quality way, you know what? Our life changes. And we start to live it according to our own values, according to our own how and why, according to our own meaning and purpose. And that's the best chance we're ever going to have to increase the value of our life and to increase the quality of our life. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not living your life according to your meaning and purpose, you're not going to be living it to its optimum. That money is going to be great for the first month, and then you're going to get used to it like everything else. You're going to live it according to a billionaire, a millionaire, or you're going to lose it all like some people do. But you will not live your life according to optimum. On the other hand, you can have almost no money. But if you're living your life according to meaning and purpose, if you're living your life according to you've chosen how and why and live accordingly, okay, so you might not be financially well off, but you're going to have a high quality of life. That's what it's all about. And the first thing we must do is ask ourselves, is what we've been doing up until now doing that for us? And if not, let's look at our behaviors and habits and see if there's anything that needs transforming. Is there anything that needs that updating to become relevant? When? To today. Relevant to my life as it is now. So I can, in the conditions that I'm living in now can become that adventurous person, that caring person, that curious person, that loving person, that whatever kind of person that I want to be, that me. Okay? I, in the words of Stephen Hayes, can attach to the we by moving the me. So think about it. I am, and try and add to that, and then put in the middle, I am feeling that I am. I think that I am. I experience that I am. And not attach yourself to these labels. Okay, thanks for watching today. We were talking about transforming our behavior habits. We're here every morning, 11 o'clock UK time in the morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Have a great day. Keep well, keep healthy, and keep on your own journey of meaning and purpose.